As you know, at the beginning of every meeting, this was another put out to the general public in order to meet the sunshine law. In case there's a fire, please respond by walking calmly to the nearest exits, which is behind you. So, if there is a fire, the chairman, whoever on charge of the board at that time, will let you know. At this time, I would like to do some swearing in of the new municipal land use board members. And the first one would be John Kennedy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just a little help is that if you have all the new members,
okay.
come up front.
Mr. Kennedy, Jay, Paul,
Jerry, Owen, and John. Just look over
Jerry,
the front, please.
should be 5 of you.
Yes.
No.
No. He's going to do I, and they're going to say your names.
All right. When I say your name. Okay, your name. Your name. Okay. Raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
That I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and that I will bear
And I will bear
true faith
true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the government
to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in the state under the authority of the people.
and in the state under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
And I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of
all the duties of the office of
Alderman 4, Alderman 3, Class 12, according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, congratulations.
Gentlemen, before you leave, you just have to sign them. Okay, so if you want to just take a few minutes right now to sign them, that would be great. So this way, if you have to run out, they're already signed.
Okay. Gerard.
Just hand it to the clerk.
At this time, could I please have a nomination for a chairperson?
I nominate Lauren Harms as chairman.
Second. Just to do away with the confusion, can I get a roll call of everybody instead of just under one, please?
Mayor Price, is anyone nominated?
Oh, I'm sorry, are there any other nominations are closed for a chair? None, so I close the nominations for a chair. So Madam Clerk, could you please ask a roll call for chair, which was Lauren Harms?
Mr. Fucino,
Yes.
Councilman Petrowski,
Yes.
Mr. Harms,
Yes?
Mr. Colicchio,
Yes.
Mr. Nitchie,
Yes.
Mr. Stevens,
Yes.
Mr. Costello,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Urbina,
Yes.
Mr. Bamonte,
Yes.
Mr. Vitale,
Yes.
and Mr. Alderman.
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations.
Okay. At this time, I congratulate Mr. Warren Harms as being elected chairman of the Municipal Union Board for the year 2015. Thank you. God bless everybody. Good job.
Who seconded that nomination?
I thank the board for your confidence in selecting me chair. Also, just take a minute to welcome any of the new board members, Mr. Hungerman, Mr. Vitale, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Rubino, and Mr. Bellante. They have been on before, but they were just reappointed. So welcome, and also, Mohammed, welcome to our humble family here.
Thank you.
Okay, we appreciate it. At this time, I'll accept nominations for the vice chair.
Make a motion for Vice Chair John Kennedy.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any other nominations for vice chair? Seeing none, I will close the nominations for vice chair. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Pacino?
Yes.
Councilman Petrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Blakio?
Yes.
Mr. Nitchie?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes. You always have to vote for us. Okay.
Mr. Robina?
Yes.
Mr. Bayamonte?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Ungerman?
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Kennedy. At this time, I'll accept nominations for secretary.
I nominate Mr. Nitchie for, Al Nitchie for secretary.
Second.
Do I have any other nominations for secretary? Seeing none, I close the nominations for secretary. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Pacino?
Yes.
Councilman Petrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Blakio?
Yes.
Mr. Nitchie?
Sure.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Robina?
Yes.
Mr. Bayamonte?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Ungerman?
Yes.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Mitchell. Okay. At this time, part of the meeting is that we appoint certain positions on our board. At this time, we have a resolution. At this time, I'd like to have a motion on resolution number 2015-001, and this is for our board attorney, and Mohammed Jallo. Okay. Did everybody have the resolutions? No. Okay. No, you don't, okay. We don't have- Okay, the process was done through council. This is their recommendation for our attorney. I agree with it. That's why I'm presenting it to the board as our attorney. So I need a motion to accept resolution 2015-001. So moved.
Second.
Okay. At this point, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Pacino?
Yes.
Councilman Petrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Blakio?
Yes.
Mr. Nitchie?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Robina?
Yes.
Mr. Bayamonte? Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Ungerman?
Yes.
Motion carries. Our next resolution is 20-15-002, and this is to appoint our engineering firm. Actually, is this for the engineering? Okay. Okay. The engineering, as we've done in the past, as you know, we use the borough engineering firm, Neglia. There's no sense of having two different organizations coming and representing us. So, again, they would know best for us to look at plans that come before us for application. So, I would just like to have I'm sorry? No, we won't have a resolution for that particular one there. So, again, I'd just like to have a motion to accept Neglia Engineering as the board's engineering firm, and just go on when we get a second.
I'll make a motion, we accept
Neglia?
I'll
second.
And also the land.
Not yet, we have a resolution for that.
All right.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, second, okay. We'll just take it all in favor.
Aye.
Motion carries. This particular time, we do have another resolution for the planner because we are changing planner. This resolution is 2015-002, and this is for our land use planner. And again, this went out for proposals, and Neglia Engineering came in. So I'd like to have a motion for resolution 2015-002 for Neglia Engineering as our planner.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Pacino?
Yes.
Councilman Ostrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Galicchio?
Yes.
Mr. Nucci?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Rovina?
Yes.
Mr. Bayamonte?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mr. Underman?
Yes.
Motion carries. The next motion I'm asking for is the appointing the designated primary and alternate newspapers on record, or of record, and that would be Star Ledger and Leader. So I'd just like to have a motion to accept the Leader and the Star Ledger as our newspapers for
Make a
advertising.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of, approval for meeting dates and times for the 2015 and 2016 year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We're almost done, audience. Approval of the 2015 municipal land use budget. We all had that last month when we looked at it, so I just want to put on record that we all, especially with the new members, being here. We have a motion?
Yes.
So then,
Second.
second, Mr. Colicchio. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. The next on the agenda is ordinance number 2431. You all received that in your packet?
Yes.
That was for the parking. And again, this is just to, the council has deemed it however they want to make the ordinance now. Our job is to come up with any comments if we have any. If there are none, we'll just send it back with no comments. So if anybody has any comments on it, if not, I'd like to, yeah, we just,
Just a comment
okay,
on
sure.
the parking visibility. What are they talking about? Vehicle, truck, what are they concerned with?
I have to think that they just need some kind of barrier type thing, trees or some evergreens, so you're not looking right directly at the street, the parking.
Are you talking about parking in the lot?
The parking lot, yes, the parking lot.
Okay.
Okay. It's just the parking lot.
Okay, the way it's parking is visible.
Right, I guess if you look at it in the ordinance, and you were saying that it would just be
So
some
I
kind of barrier.
want to make the parking lot screen from the street.
That's correct.
It's fine.
Okay, but we're allowing the front parking now. That's what they're asking to do. So, if there aren't any other comments, I'll just have Madam Clerk send it back to Borough Council with no comments on it. Is that all right? Everybody? I don't think we need a
You need a motion to that?
but I don't think we need a motion on it.
You need
Do
a-
we? Okay, let's do it this way. I'll ask for a motion to...
I'll make a motion
Send it back.
to
Okay,
send it
send
back
it
to
back
the
to the
council.
motions. Okay.
No,
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, this time I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the municipal land from December 15, 2014.
Make a motion?
Second.
Second.
Any comments, revisions, changes, anything? Nothing? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. At this time, I'll accept a motion to open up the public portion.
Make a motion.
Second. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Wait, who was that, made a motion?
Big one.
Was Frank and then John?
Yes.
Frank and John.
Okay. Okay. At this time, the public portion is open. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward, state your name and address.
Hold on.
Sorry, kid.
No wireless yet.
We're trying to cut back on electricity.
Yeah. You had it.
I had it.
You had it and you lost it.
That's line here, like,
Hello. So all lined up, John?
Carl, there was a separate line underneath that, broke it off. That line there was separate, for, that you're right.
Plug it in the,
No, it's on a different,
I'm at a loss, John.
you're on a different line.
I'm on a different line. Hold on, let's try this one over here with that one.
No, give it to me.
Would you just like to use
oh,
mine?
oh, hold
Give me that
on.
line.
Open up. Is it underneath there? Oh.
Oh, all right. Sorry about the delay. Here you go.
Jacob Rivera, 612 Sherman Avenue, Roselle Park. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, viewing audience, members of the board, new members, old members who were replaced. Good evening. The engineering position that you nominated Neglia. Is that a bid position?
It's, I'm not sure how that was. I have to assume, and I know what that means. I'm going to say it is, but I will check.
Would you please check?
I will check for you, and I will get back to you. But I have to. It's a yes that they put in a bid.
No, it's an RFP.
All right, but it's still coming in as a price that they're saying. So the engineering, as we did in the past, came in. There was no other RFPs came in for the engineering part of this.
What are RPs?
Request for proposal.
Request for promotion.
Proposal. Okay, and so what that is that just giving you a price per hour or whatever it would be. With the thought of that, I don't think that the council, the mayor and council, would hire somebody other than somebody that's qualified, and their prices are right to save the taxpayers money. So with that said, the municipal land use board would also think that using them would be a smart move to save money.
You think?
I'm positive it would save us money.
Well, I think you should, or the board should have it in writing that he's accepted as the only bidder. Did he propose the bill?
No, I'm not saying that they were the only bidder for the municipal. In the past, Jake, we've used the Negley Engineering because, again, saving money. If we didn't go to them and use that, then we have somebody else come in here and we take them. We're paying 2 people to do the same job that we can have Negley to do. And it's kind of a benefit because things that happen in the borough that the borough is doing, okay, also in turn comes out to help us because they're there looking at that. And when it comes to Anthony, okay, looking at it, he has an idea already of what's going on. So it does save us money. I can assure you of that.
That certainly applies with any new person coming in on board, that they have to give a little time in, a couple of years, and then they know what's going on. Because we had an engineer, Guariello and Deck, call.
If I'm
They
not
were
mistaken.
changed,
Yeah.
when the administration changed, they were changed.
They need to go
Because
in
that-
retires.
Excuse me?
I think we believe Mr. Goriello retired.
Guariello, I don't know how high he was, but he was from town. He was a member of Roselle Park. The high was a bid that came in while they were still the engineering company, but it was a few $100s higher. So subsequently they changed from Guariello Deck to Neglia. And here is happening, you're taking Neglia, how do we know that they're the lowest in the pricing?
Because we're relying on the mayor and council who has decided that there are the right pricing for the borough to use, that the municipal land should not have any doubt in our minds that they would not do the same for ours. And again, if I go back and look, I would probably think that they put in an RFP, okay, along with their RFP to the borough, also with that. It's just I think more of a sensible thing to do is use the same engineering firm, okay, as we have in the past. We've used Negley Engineering, excuse me, for the past 3 years. And they have not done anything to show this board that they haven't done anything right for us. And the cost of it, I think that the mayor and council, whether it's previous or the new, making the decision, would have come back to us and said that there was something else out there cheaper that came in cheaper. Okay. Again, that's how it's working.
And my question again is the prior administration, mayor and council.
And they used Negley Engineering
I
also.
know they did, but how did they know that Neglia was the cheapest?
Jake, I'm assuming that they. Okay. Again, you have to ask mayor and council on that. I can't answer for them. That's not mine.
You want to spot?
Or in that respect, because I'm not mayor and council, and I think you'd have to go to a council meeting and ask mayor and council on how they pick their engineering firm.
Mr. Chairman, is there anything to that? I believe 3 to 4, maybe 5 years ago, there was at least 4 to 5 applicants applied for the position. We interviewed each one of them individually, and we came up with the best possible candidate for the town. He was qualified to do things that are more cost-effective and more represent at the town. And Mr. Dagley happened to be the person that we committed to, the board picked up. It's going on at least 4 years.
Just to add to that, Mr. Glico, thank you, because if you remember, Jake, there was 4 years ago that this board here for the first time, had to go out and ask for their own RFPs, okay? And if you remember, we had discussions on the planner and also the engineering firm. And at that time, okay, Neglia came in the best price, even for that.
The planner came in the best.
No, the Neglia Engineering at that time, because we had to do both. Okay, at that particular time, 4 years ago, I sat here, and who's the gentleman that was on there that moved? He was the engineer. I forget the gentleman's name, but we sat down and we went over every one of them, we analyzed every one of them. Okay, because he was very adamant about how to do it. We went over it. I came down with numbers with him. We sat and we went over everything. And Neglia was the cheapest out of everybody. The planner, okay, was a different story. And if you remember, last year Neglia came in a few dollars cheaper than the planner that we had, okay? And this board here thought it would be to our best advantage to keep the planner as we had. This particular year, you'll see that it's different.
How much did we pay the planner last year?
I don't have that number right in front of me, Jay. I don't have that number. But there was a not to exceed in it. Our budget has not changed in 4 or 5 years. It has not changed. Okay? So, again, I know what we're paying this particular year to the planner. I know what we're paying, and you can operate to find that out, because I don't want to give you a number that's not exact. I know what we're paying our counselor due to the RFPs that were
I'm
turned.
talking about an engineer.
But Jake, I'm just trying to let you know, okay, of what I do know, okay, of what we're paying for each and one that we had. And I'm assuming you're trying to see that we did our best due diligence. I think we have. I think this board has done, by mayor and council, giving us the proposals that were sent in and picking the best for our board and our community.
Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, viewing audience, members of the board, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Please come forward, state your name and address.
Saul Kiersden, 150 Berwyn Street. I guess the first question is a house cleaning issue. Do alternates vote? May have not recalled that, but.
And in this particular, for the members that we're selecting right now, yes. Only because they might have to be sitting up here at one particular time or another. Other than that, no.
Right. They only vote if class 3 members unavailable, correct?
If they sit up on the dais,
Correct.
then they would be able to vote, yes.
But just as a rule, they usually don't.
Correct.
Okay.
You can verify that, Saul, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I
I know.
I'm not up on the complete, but you can check out.
For the attorney, how many RFPs came in?
I think 2.
Mr. Jallo?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't know how many are.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to get your name before I spoke about it. Sorry.
Yes, Jala.
Jallo.
Yes.
I guess if I could go through the chair to ask Mr. Jallo, or is Mr. Jallo a private attorney or is he a member of a firm?
Both, but my firm consists of myself and my partner, Jalo and Jalo.
And I guess this question is in relation to the board, in case there's a conflict of interest as there was last year. The rate that has been applied for services, is that a flat, not to exceed rate? I guess I can over that, right?
Yeah.
But my question is,
I understand. So if there was a conflict like there was last year, what is the payment for the person who would sit in
Yeah. Because last year that was not in the contract, and I think that kind of led to some kind of, I'll give an example.
other payments, yes.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. There's no hiding it. There was because of the conflict.
Right.
At that time, we did not know. And again, I'll have to go back and look at the RFP to see if there's anything in there for, again, if he has a partner, I would think that his firm still would be here. But there could be a conflict also because the firm might be involved with it too.
Right.
So we'll have to approach that and question it.
Okay.
Sure.
Do you know what the rate is or the fee is for the annual or not to exceed?
No, 8,000. I didn't want to give a number, but I think that's
Okay.
okay. I mean, again, I'm saying 8,000. It could be.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay.
And for the engineering and planning, or the planner responsibilities, does anyone on the board know if Neglia, if there's a fee for that, or is it umbrella under their services for the municipality?
A good question. I'll have the clerk look that up for you, Saul. But I think in the past it was kind of like an umbrella. So when they did it, they charged. Excuse me. They gave us a price for it. In this particular year, they came in. They gave us a price for that specifically for that. So again, it's X amount of dollars per hour.
Okay.
So, but it's still under the big umbrella, but yet comes out of our budget too, because I know the clerk signs, the clerk in municipal land gets it, okays it, basically just looks at it and makes sure it was the time that it was, and then sends it down to the borough clerk and she puts it in. And so it's kind of like in the umbrella, but yet there was a separate price for it.
I guess per services, if he's called tonight, there's a rate for that, and it's set within the contract, I presume?
Yes.
And just out of curiosity, what is the budget again?
What is the budget? Our budget is 12,000? No.
That's all right. I mean, I could open that, right?
Yeah,
And
sure.
could I get a copy of the dates? Because usually it's here. There wasn't a copy here. Of the meeting dates.
Yeah, sure, we can give you that also.
And just the last kind of confirmation, since there are 3 new board members, I had asked before, they have a time period from which to
Yes.
attend.
Yes. As I tried to explain before, and I know you've read the code on it, and again, it's a statute, it's not
Right.
borough, it's the statute of the state. And I explained to you how it works, and how it couldn't have worked out, but this is how we're having it,
Right.
okay? So if I'm wrong, then I guess you have to fire me or something. But anyhow, the class 1 and 2 are a 2-year. The class 3 and 4, okay, would be 1 year. Because it knew how to replace something, if you remember in the code, it said you had to replace 1 every year, or it could be no more than 1, but I explained how it could not work if it wasn't done right from the get-go. Okay, so,
Right.
and it does. And the new alternate 4, Mr. Kennedy, is a 4-year term.
So that way, at the end, after all this is through, it works its way out, right?
As I explained, next year there'll be 2, the
Right.
year after that is 2, then there's 1, and there's 1 in the beginning. So it's
Okay.
the 6-member board, and then the borough employee, who is a class 3, okay, is the kind of deciding vote type thing, and so we don't have a deadlock.
And I was just looking at those minutes. Was the first alternate, was that vacant for a while?
There was some vacancies.
I just remember because at the last meeting.
Yes, there was a resignation, and then
Oh, that's right.
2 resignations. Okay, one was in the middle of the year, was never filled.
Right.
So the prudent thing to do is to take the 3 and 4, move
And
them
just
up to
move
1
them
and 2 because they were there already, and then take the newcomers and put them on as 3 and 4. Okay, and then hopefully they move up and sign for the board.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully answered your question. Hopefully what you need. Okay, so. Anyone else wishing to speak?
See none, make a motion to close the public session.
All in favor? Motion carries. Okay. Sorry for the housekeeping we had to do here. At this time,
But the thing I wanted to know is he said, I didn't want to ask that.
we have a new application
The mayor and
for
council.
413 East Westfield
There was
Avenue.
two, there was 2 hours.
Shear Realty LLC. You want to please come forward?
That's because No, but I just wanted to know.
Just so the audience knows that Mr. Stevens has to recuse himself because he does know the applicant. Another, I would ask that the council member, Mr. Petrosky, also is going to recuse himself because this is a zoning issue and council members and mayor cannot hear a zoning application. They can hear planning but not zoning. So, Mr. Petrosky, thank you and welcome to the board.
This is the reason why Joe Accordi didn't get the public defender. Harvey came in for like 15,000. Joe came in at 13.7, but he gave us an hourly rate. I think that's such a joke.
You have anybody else who needs to come up to,
I do have two witnesses.
you want to bring them up, Councilor, swear them in and...
Sure. For the record, Joe Capero, Hale and Hale, on behalf of the applicant, Share Realty LLC. Our witnesses this evening are our site engineer, Brian Shortino, and our professional planner, Roger Denicia.
The only thing, if there's something major that you need, if you can give all,
Raise your right hand.
you can always go to the point. Tell me ahead of time, I'll have the information for you. And I'm not looking to get, you know.
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
I was just going to ask you how to just a little housekeeping here. Madam Clerk, is this deal complete? Okay, so we have the authority to hear this applicant.
We got that which was on until 2016, so I couldn't even replace it. We got a 4-year contract. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Then he said we want things. That's it. And then Thomas, is that what I'm looking for? Thomas? Yeah. Yeah, so they tell us that if they don't have software engineering, I got no say. So, they came
Yes,
back.
thank you. Again, for the record, Joe Capero, Hale and Hale, Share Realty LLC. The application before you this evening involves an existing service station at 413 East Westfield Avenue. The proposal is for site plan and variance approvals to construct a canopy over the existing fuel dispensers. There's no change to the station, there's no change to the existing convenience store, no site improvements. The only site improvement is the installation of a canopy above those existing fuel dispensers. As already mentioned, this application does require technically a use variance. The existing service station is located in your B3 zone. The service station is an existing non-conforming use. By installing the canopy, technically it's an expansion of a non-conforming use. You'll hear testimony this evening as to why, although we are seeking the use variance, there is a proper justification for that variance. There is no practical intensification of the use. There's no increase in the size of the station, no increase in the size of the convenience store. There's no hiring of additional employees. The canopy provides security, shelter, all the things that everyone I'm sure is accustomed when they go to a service station. Again, as I mentioned, we have some variances. The D2 variance is the reason why we're before this board seeking these approvals. The canopy will have some signs, and we do need some variances for the signs on the canopy, and that testimony will be provided by our professional planner. The service station has a number of existing nonconformities. None of those conditions will be impacted or intensified by this application. Again, just an installation of a canopy, which is an industry standard, as I'm sure the board is well aware. Most of the older stations are going through this process to get a canopy to provide shelter for the employees and the patrons. That's an overview of the application. If there's no preliminary questions, I'd like to call the civil engineer, Brian Shortino, to explain the conditions at the site currently and the location of the new canopy above the fuel dispensers.
Does any board members have any questions as of this time, just on the preliminary?
Thank you very much, Mr. Shortino. I believe you have, you've been sworn, you've been, for the board's benefit and the benefit of the public, can you provide your qualifications, your credentials, area of expertise, and the licenses you hold, sir?
I have an undergraduate degree in landscape architecture from Rutgers University. I have a master's of science degree in civil engineering from the New Jersey Institute of Technology. I'm a licensed professional engineer, licensed professional planner, and licensed landscape architect in the state of New Jersey. Been involved in practical landscape architecture for 38 years and civil engineering for 34 years.
And all of your licenses, sir, are in good standing?
Yes, they are.
And have you regularly appeared before planning and zoning boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I have.
Thank you, Mr. Short.
Does the board have any objection to accepting this witness as an
Mr.
expert?
Chairman, move we accept this engineer.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Shortino, you and your firm prepared the site plan for this application, is that correct?
That's correct.
I've given an overview of the proposed improvements. Can you provide some background, the location of the existing station, ingress, egress, the fact that there are no changes to the manner in which the station functions?
Okay, what I'd like to do is just reference the drawings we have prepared. Our office prepared a set of, essentially, it's 3 drawings. It's canopy addition drawing, which is drawing C 1.1, which is the cover sheet, which lists all the zoning requirements and the 200-foot radius map by property owners. Then the second drawing is our canopy addition plan, so the lighting details of the canopy, and that's drawing C 2.1. Both of those drawings are dated October 22nd, 2014. Then the last drawing is just sheet 3. That's just the existing location and topographic survey. So essentially, those are the drawings that have been prepared by our office and are submitted for approval tonight for the proposed canopy. What I'd like to do is just, all we did was mount drawing C 2.1, which is essentially the site plan. And it's just easier to reference the mounted drawing, so the board will have.
We can bring that up a little closer.
I don't know if I'm talking loud enough.
I don't know. Is anybody in the audience not hearing the gentleman speak? I know sometimes it is, but if you can use the mic, that would be great. If you can't, then try to speak as loud as you can.
To use the mic, I'll have to move the.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah. Let's move it up to the front. Let's move it up to the front. I'm sorry.
Only because then.
Right. But there's some members of the audience that might not be able to hear. Everybody have the opportunity to hear. Before we continue, can we mark this exhibit?
Yes.
A1,
please.
A1? A1?
With today's
Okay.
date.
And we'll take this whole 3 pages as A1, except because there's no others.
Okay.
Good. Okay, as mentioned, the site is an existing gas station. It's located at the intersection of Sheraton Avenue and East Westfield Avenue. It's an existing gas station there. It has 2 fuel pumps. There's 2 driveways along East Westfield Avenue. There's also 1 driveway along Sheraton Avenue. The building there is used as a convenience store. There are 5 parking spaces. As I mentioned, there's 1 island, one with 2 fuel dispensers. There's essentially what they call fueling positions. There's 4 fueling positions, 2 at each dispenser. And there's also a kiosk on the pump island for the attendant. The pump island also has 2 area lights, with each area light has 2 fixtures, so there's a total of 4 fixtures at the site. And with respect to, I would call it a common driveway really, I guess on the easterly portion. It's an extended curb cut, but you can also access, I believe it's, I don't remember the exact name, it's on our apartments. Yeah, the apartments. I just didn't know the address of them. So there's a common driveway there that's separated by a utility pole. So technically you could pull into the driveway before the utility pole and still access the site because it's common entrance or access between those 2 properties. So essentially that's the site location. I can go through the areas if that's necessary, but essentially what we're proposing is just to put a 24-foot wide by 32.4 foot long canopy above the existing pump island. Essentially, the columns would go exactly in the same location where the current light poles are. And the canopy would be installed for the improvement for the facility. And just on the dimensions of the canopy itself, on the same drawing in the lower left-hand corner, we show that the length of the canopy at 32.5 feet, that would be parallel to East Westfield Avenue. The depth of the canopy perpendicular to East Westfield Avenue would be 24 feet. And the canopy would be installed parallel to East Westfield Avenue with a 0.4 foot setback to the front property line. We've noted that as being a variance. I believe in the review letter from Neglia, it's noted as a front setback variance where 10 feet is required, and we're proposing 0.4 feet. On the canopy itself, or the dimensions of the canopy, there's a clearance of 15.5 feet to the bottom of the canopy. That's more or less the industry norm for the minimum height of the canopy. Older canopies were 13.5 feet high, and they were always being hit. So about probably 10 or 15 years ago, the industry standard had raised it 2 more feet, and now so the standard again is at 15.5 feet to the underneath of the canopy. The canopy itself has a 3-foot fascia around it, so the overall height would be 18.5 feet. And we did mention that there's 3 signs proposed to the canopy, which shows the Gulf logo. And each of those signs would be on the westerly side facing Sheraton, the front facing East Westfield, and then the easterly side of the canopy. Each of those signs contain 28.8 square feet, and they will be eternally illuminated. Let me see. And then on the right-hand side, we have the lighting plan. We're proposing 4 lights underneath surface-mounted canopy lights underneath the canopy to light the area where all the fueling is being done. We have a lighting plan shown on there which shows the foot candle intensities. The canopy lights are 68-watt LED type canopy fixtures, and those essentially replace the 4 fixtures that are on the existing light poles. The only other item we're doing is the existing freestanding sign. It's just being refaced with the Gulf logo. It's not changed. It's not being changed with respect to height or area, so there's no change with respect to the freestanding sign location or areas except for the change to the Gulf type identification. Essentially, in summary, that's what we are proposing for this proposal with respect to the canopy. And I believe that covers all the items with respect to the proposed improvements for this.
Mr. Shortino, you mentioned in your testimony that the signs require variances from the Borough Code, correct?
That's correct.
And Mr. Dinicio will provide the planning testimony for those variances.
Yes, I believe there is a variance request with respect to quantity and with respect to area.
Is the remainder of the canopy, the fascia, the exterior, is that going to be illuminated as well, or just the signs?
No, it's my understanding just the signs are going to be internally illuminated. The rest of the canopy is just have the Gulf graphics decal.
And Mr. Shortino, what were the results of your lighting plan? Was there any negative impacts from the lighting that's proposed by this canopy?
Based on our plan that we did, I don't believe there's any negative impacts. All the light is it provides safe lighting intensities on the site and also for the access driveway, and there's no light spillage onto any adjacent properties based on the foot candle intensities we show. It's at a minimum foot candle intensity of 0.5 foot candles. It's still well within the perimeter of the site, except for along East Westfield Avenue, where normally that's desirable.
Mr. Shortino, you've received and reviewed the Neglia engineering report, correct, for this application?
That's correct.
It was revised December 30th, 2014.
Yes.
And with regard to comment number 2, regarding the lighting plan, the board engineer reviewed the lighting plan and found it acceptable, correct?
That's correct.
You mentioned the setback variance for the canopy, and again, Mr. Denicio will address that from a planning perspective. How was the location of the canopy chosen?
Well, essentially, as we mentioned, it's the canopy, obviously the purpose of the canopy is to provide protection from the elements at the fueling positions and also for the attendants and patrons. So we're not proposing any change to the fuel island. It's so the fuel island is the fixed position where we'd like to install a canopy, and more or less it's just taking a center line of the canopy and an equal distant dimension, and that's the norm is 12 feet on each side of the island. That's the norm that usually provides the safety factor involved with respect to keeping the area clean and dry during inclement weather, and that's how that was determined. And obviously, we need to keep it inside the property line, so it calculated out that it was a 0.4 foot setback along East Westfield Avenue.
Mr. Shortino, is it safe to say that the size and location of the canopy is at the minimum to provide the shelter and cover that's required?
Yes, it would be my opinion that's the case. A 24 by 32 size canopy it's a typical size canopy also for a single aisle layout such as this.
Now, I noted there are a number of existing nonconformities with the service station and the convenience store. Those are noted on your plan, correct?
That's correct.
And will this canopy intensify any of those existing nonconformities?
No.
Referring back to the December 30th Meglia engineering letter, I believe there was a comment to tie the roof leaders and drains from the canopy into the storm sewer system.
That's correct. Our plan had indicated that the roof drainage from the canopy would just be dispersed at the base of the column at the pump island, and there was a recommendation of Neglia to tie that into, if possible, tie that into the existing inlet. Closest one is on Sheraton Avenue, so we would accommodate that and provide subsurface piping to tie into that existing inlet. And that would actually provide, that's actually a benefit because now that current stormwater runoff, when there's no canopy there, that hits the surface, sheet flows into East Westfield Avenue, so that more or less would be eliminated slightly, and that just provide, from a stormwater standpoint, that provides a better circumstance.
So by following that recommendation, this will result in improvement in the current situation.
That's correct.
The final comment, number 3, is request for engineering, structural engineering materials to be submitted to the borough for the installation of the canopy. Any objection to doing that?
No, that would be the norm. If if this project is approved, you would need to provide structural canopy drawings to the building department for approval prior to a building permit being issued.
I have no further direct for Mr. Shortino.
Any more questions? Regarding the setback, it's a 28 is up to the Westfield Avenue, State Highway. At 4 feet off the setback, is not infringing with the state requirement?
No, and it wasn't 4 feet, it was 0.4 feet.
0.4 feet?
Yeah. No, we're within our property line limits. We're not,
There's no setback off the road coming into the property line?
no, not from DOT, no.
I just had a quick one. To the underneath of the canopy, you mentioned it was 15 feet or something.
15 and a half feet.
Where is that in relevant to the existing convenience store? Is it to the roof line or higher?
That's a good question. I don't know the existing height. I don't think it's on our plan, the existing height of the building. We had a dimension of the building being 21 feet high, plus or minus. So my testimony was that the canopy itself to the top of the fascia would be 18 and a half feet high. And then to the top of the sign, that would be 20 and a half feet high, so it would be approximately the same size. If the building's 21, the worst case of the canopy at the building sign would be 20 and a half, so it's essentially, but the majority of the canopy would be 18 and a half, so it'd be like 3 feet lower than the existing building.
I'm just thinking, this is a little bit big to the convenience store.
Well, no, actually, depend how you, the canopy technically will block a portion of the building if you're looking at it from Westfield Avenue. but you have to look at your pros and cons. The purpose of the canopy is to make it safer at the fueling positions. So, I mean, I guess the client could say, well, it's hiding my building, but he's choosing that voluntarily to provide the safer environment.
No, I'm not even thinking about the building, I'm thinking from a public safety perspective of the police driving by, still have visibility.
Oh, no,
Convenience.
oh, yes, that's still available. Yeah, that's still, because the canopy, it has minimum 15.5-foot clearance where it's full access visibility to the building itself. You can see the front doors. Oh, okay. I thought possibly you meant that the building was being obscured by the canopy. No, you'll still be, the police will still be able to see the front entrance doors and within the windows of the building itself.
Any other board member have any,
Yeah, what hours will the sign be lit until?
The sign, the canopy itself, that I'm not sure on the hours of the station. So you pump till 10 o'clock? Oh, so they only pump till 10 o'clock, so the canopy, my assumption would be the canopy and pump islands are turned over at 10 o'clock.
Okay, the convenience store itself is open longer than that, or the convenience stand until 10 o'clock?
You're going to use the existing sign pole on the street that now says golf, whatever it is, golf or Delta?
Delta. It's Delta now, yeah, exact same size, it's just going to be refaced to be golf. No change.
The food market size is going to be the same size, but the sign on top of it is going to be different.
The sign on the building is not changing.
On a pole.
Sign on the pole is going to be the same size. Well, same sign, it's just going to be refaced.
It's going to say golf.
It's going to say golf instead of Delta.
Instead of golf. Just the logo's changed.
Right. Correct.
Well, it's changing, we'll have the golf color schemes. That's it.
You'd be able to see the food, the convenience store sign though, with the canopy, or? I'm just curious, I mean.
It's on the sign.
And depending on where you're standing, there'll probably be, depending on exactly where you're standing, it may be obscured, depending on how you're approaching. But again, that's our clients aware of that, and
but I guess, Glenn,
it's desirable to have the canopy.
where that sign is on the pole, on the corner of Sheridan and Westwood Avenue, you'd say the food mart's right there, I'm assuming.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, according
Well,
to...
yeah, it says food mart now.
Yeah, food ATM, food mart, lottery.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least have down there for them. Any other questions? Seeing none?
Thank you. My next witness is our planner, Roger Venetian. Mr. Venetian, can you provide the board with your education, area of expertise, and the licenses you hold, sir?
Yes, I'm a licensed professional planner. I've been licensed since 1972. I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Notre Dame and a graduate degree in urban planning from New York University. And I've been practicing local planning primarily in New Jersey for the past 45 years. I've prepared master plans and other planning reports for a number of communities and counties in the state. I have served on in municipal positions for 5 municipalities in redevelopment and planning, and I have been appearing as an expert witness in zoning and planning matters since 1968 before the United States District Court, New Jersey Superior Court, and for numerous planning boards and boards of adjustment, including in the area, Westfield, Cranford, Roselle, Linden, Union, Springfield, Kenilworth, not Winfield Park. All the others plus.
Just one.
I would offer Mr. Venetian as an expert in field planning.
I would
Thank you. Mr. Venetian, I see you have an exhibit board. We're up to the A2.
Okay. Should I mark that?
Mark, please, yes. A2?
Yes. A2.
there appear to be photos. Were those photos taken by yourself, sir?
Yes, the Exhibit A2 consists of a board with 3 photos of the site, essentially, and then instead is just an area, Google aerial map, just pasted on. And I'll review those and take a look at them.
Regarding the photos that you took, sir, do those accurately reflect the images portrayed?
Yes, they
Have
do.
you doctored or altered those in any way?
Not in any way.
Thank you.
You want to? Okay. In order to appear before you this evening, I not only prepared this exhibit, I also obviously reviewed the plan and the application, what the applicant is requesting, and I understand that the applicant would like to erect a protective canopy on the existing service station, but the problem is a use variance is required because service stations are not permitted in the B3 district. So I looked at both the zoning ordinance and the master plan. Obviously, I made inspections of the site in the area. Now, Brian gave you a very good description of the site. I won't repeat that, but I would like to point out several features of the site that relate to the variance that is being requested. One is the location of the site, and there are 3 photos of the site, as I referred to them. Photo 1 is taken of the site from Sheridan Avenue looking east. So that's the Sheridan Avenue side of the site. Photo 2 is sort of at the corner looking diagonally. That's the corner of the site. And photo 3 is, and it looks on Westfield Avenue. Photo 3 is taken from across the street, showing the width of the site along Westfield Avenue. And as I said, in my opinion, the most important factor that affects this application is that the site is located along Westfield Avenue, which is State Highway Route 28, which is an arterial roadway and defined as such in the master plan. The second important feature, aside from the size and dimensions, is the fact that the site is already a service station and a retail use, a convenience store combined. The next important feature that Brian mentioned, also that there are also existing signs on the site. So if we look at photo 1, it shows the existing ID sign, which is placed in the southwest corner of the property at Sheridan Avenue. And you can see the other photos show that sign as well. In addition to that, when we look at photo 3, we see the small Food Mart sign on top of the building. Those are the only signs that exist at present to give visibility and identification to the site. Now, presently, as Brian described, these site elements function adequately. It's a very small capacity service station, as Brian mentioned, with 1 service island and 2 fuel dispensers. So there's not a lot of activity. There are 5 parking spaces, and there's a building. There are 3 means of access, 2 driveways on Westfield Avenue and 1 on Sheridan. So the site appears to function very adequately. The only problem with the site functionally is the fact that it doesn't have a protective canopy, which is fairly important in the service station site. So that's exactly what the applicant intends to do, is to erect a protective canopy over the fuel islands, as Brian mentioned. And as Joe mentioned previously and Brian mentioned, the purpose of the canopy is to provide shelter from the elements, provide focused light for both the attendants, the equipment that is on the fueling aisle, and of course for the motorists. And Brian mentioned that years and years ago, or maybe Joe mentioned that the canopies weren't very common, and they've become more and more common. They are so common at this point with respect to fuel islands that if you go, I haven't been to the Roselle Park Public Works Yard, but where I live, the Public Works Yard has a fueling island and of course with a canopy. And I haven't seen any Public Works Yards without it. So a protective canopy is really an essential part of a service station setup, at least to date. And when Brian indicated, when he was asked the question, what are the size of the canopy? If we look at the photos, the reason I took these 3 photos was because it will show exactly how far the canopy will extend. Now, if we look in the front along Westfield Avenue, the canopy, let's say east and west, well, the site is almost 100 feet wide, so there's plenty of room on the east and west, and even though the canopy is only 32 feet wide, it could be a lot more if need be. There's a lot of space there. When we look at the other dimension, we look on Sheridan Avenue, and then sort of at the corner, it gives a good idea of where the canopy will be. You can't see it, but where I'm pointing in the middle of photo 1 is the fueling island, and then there's a car right next to it. That car is shown also in photo 2, and I guess by the time I got across the street it moved. But if you see where that car is, and just estimate where that canopy will be, it's easier to see here, where the sidewalk is. It'll be inside the public sidewalk. That distance where the canopy will be 12 feet from the curb line or the travel lane on Westfield Avenue. So if we look at any kinds of conflict, the traffic will be more than 12 feet away from that canopy. It would be very difficult to interfere. Plus, as Brian mentioned, the need for that height being 15 feet. In case a vehicle does come off the roadway by mistake, a large vehicle, there's over 15 feet to provide enough room. That will take care of tractor trailers. These were problems back 15 or 20 years ago. Tractor trailers used to get stuck under the lower canopies. As Brian mentioned, this will avoid that problem. So, in my opinion, I agree with Brian. There's no safety problem at all with respect to the setback. Again, the other aspect of the canopy is the focused lighting, as Brian mentioned. The lighting will only fall under the canopy, and his drawings show that there will be no spillover of light to the perimeter of the property. The only other changes, as Brian mentioned, to the site will be the 3 canopy signs on the fascia. And of course, those signs are intended to provide visibility and identification, and they allow motorists along Westfield Avenue to see the site at a greater distance and then to make a decision. They'll have enough room and time to make a decision to turn off the site. At present, they only have the ID sign to look at, so those canopy logo signs will help substantially. All in all, I think the proposed canopy will certainly improve the ability of the site to function as an existing business use. And that's important because of where the site is located. It's located along the Westfield Avenue corridor. And of course, Westfield Avenue does have some residential uses, but primarily its intent is to serve the business community by being providing properties for business development and business use. And of course, the central business district and this building are located along Westfield Avenue. Well, if you look at the master plan, the intent of the master plan is to continue to develop the Westfield Avenue corridor as a business area. And certainly the location of the existing service station is appropriate. And if the intent of the master plan is to continue the development of the area, it would be very important to improve the ability of an existing business use to function. And that's essentially what the canopy will do. The use as it is and the use of the site with a canopy certainly is consistent with the business character of the area. The problem is that all seems pretty good if we look at the master plan. The difficulty is the fact that this site is in a business district, the B3 district, but the B3 district does not permit service stations at all. So even though the applicant wants to make a very beneficial improvement, as Brian described it previously, to the site, the applicant cannot, because no changes can occur on this site without the approval of the use variance by this board, no matter how important or beneficial those changes are. The B3 district permits a whole range of business uses, but it does not permit service stations, as I mentioned. In addition to that important use variance, there are some existing bulk deficiencies that are not being changed at all by this application. The only other bulk variance included, as Brian mentioned, is the 0.4-foot setback for the canopy along Westfield Avenue. Of course, there's no standard for that. For canopies, there is a standard for buildings, which is 10 feet. But as Brian mentioned in the answer to the question, well, why are we locating the canopy here? Well, it has to be there. It can't be made any shorter or else it won't work. If it was a 4-foot canopy, that would leave all the cars exposed and everyone else, it wouldn't work. It has to be as it was designed. And again, it was offset slightly in from the front property line. So the variance is required for that. The other elements of variances would be the signs. Now, the B3 district permits normally 2 building signs, but there is a provision in the ordinance for business uses along Westfield Avenue corridor, which are allowed to have 3 building signs. So this site at present has 1 building sign on the blue sign that's on the front of the store. With the new canopy, there will be 3 more signs. So with respect to the number of signs, there would be a variance for 1 in a sense. 3 are allowed and there would be 4. In addition to that, there's a limitation on the area of signs for the canopy. Brian mentioned each of those is about 28 square feet. It's a little over 80 square feet of signs. But those signs are designed in terms of size so that they're visible for motorists along Route 28 to be visible from 400 to 500 feet. And then, as Brian mentioned, that's for safety purposes, so that motorists are given enough warning to turn off onto the site. The existing freestanding sign measures 48 square feet, and only 30 is permitted. But that's an existing condition that's not going to change in this application. Again, the signs are intended to provide adequate and sufficient visibility along the road. So that in summary, my opinion is that the board is able to grant this application because it would meet the criteria for approval, because the application is a reasonable alteration to an existing non-conforming use. If we look at the bulk variances separately, in my opinion, these bulk variances would consist of the signs and the canopy setback. They can be approved under the criteria of the land use law section 70, paragraph C2, where the board could grant the bulk variances if granting those variances represent benefits, and those benefits substantially outweigh any detriments. And I think this is the case. And in my opinion, I would recommend that the application be approved. Now, saying that, the board also has to find that if this application was approved, there would be no substantial detriment to the site or the area. But with respect to the site, we know that the site would be improved functionally and operation-wise with respect to the canopy and the lighting. But there aren't any other impacts at all, so that we don't have to think about the negative impacts. There are no other changes at all to the canopy. The lighting impact will be negligible, as Brian mentioned, and there will be one beneficial drainage impact, and that is now where all of the rainwater runoff flows from the site onto the street. Then, subsequently, that runoff will be taken from the roof by leaders and into the storm system, avoiding the site altogether. So the drainage conditions, both on the site and in the area, will improve. Now, not only is there, in my opinion, no substantial detriment, there is no detriment at all. The final consideration of the board is to determine whether or not this application is approved. It would result in impairment of the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zone ordinance. And here we have an unusual situation where the site itself already impairs the zoning ordinance because it's a non-conforming use. But even though we know that there have to be some improvements made over time in some of these non-conforming uses, a variance is required. There's no other way to make any of these improvements. But it's important to understand, first, that the application, the canopy will not increase activity on the site. It won't extend the size. It won't change any aspect of the site at all. It will function as it is now. It's also important, from a zoning point of view, that the approval of the application is not at the expense of the permitted use. So the applicant is not taking a permitted business use along Westfield Avenue and putting in a new service station. So that won't happen. But I think the most important aspect of this is the fact that if this application is denied, the non-conforming use that is existing on the site will not be eliminated. It will continue, but it will continue, in my opinion, at an undesirable condition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Just a follow-up question. In your professional opinion, will granting the variances promote the purposes and goals and objectives of the municipal land use law?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's my opinion that granting the variances would promote three purposes of the land use law under Section 2, specifically those purposes under paragraphs A, G, and H.
In promoting the general health and welfare of the public, the motorists that travel to the site, providing them proper security, safety, and lighting, shelter from the elements, are those the benefits that will promote the public and welfare?
Yes, they are.
You've had an opportunity to review the Neglia Engineering and Planning Report, correct,
Yes.
sir? And they are, you've reviewed the planning comments?
Yes, I did.
And you feel that you've adequately addressed the comments in the letter?
Yes, I did.
And you've noted that this application will result in a drainage benefit not only to the site, but to the surrounding property and Westfield Avenue, is that correct?
Yes.
And that went into your analysis and your conclusion that this application, the benefits outweigh the detriments, correct?
That's correct, yes.
I have no further reference, Commissioner. Thank you.
Any board members have any questions?
For the benefit of the board, can we review the exhibit A2? You had mentioned the variance for one sign because there were two existing, correct?
No, there's one building sign and one existing freestanding sign.
So then you would need two additional because it's three signs on the canopy. There are three buildings on the canopy, correct? So instead of getting a variance for one, there are the signs, correct?
Now you're mixing the three signs are permitted. So that this act for building signs, the buildings and in the ordinance, buildings
Because I'm
slash
including-
awnings are included. So if we add up all of the signs on the site now, building signs, building awning signs, there's one. Three are allowed. The proposal is to put three additional signs, but that would make four. So a variance is needed to have those
I was
four
including the
signs.
freestanding sign.
The freestanding sign is not included, that's separate. That's permitted, but it's a smaller size.
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said here? Because I'm just a little confused when you said you're asking for three more, but you're allowed three. So, can you repeat what you said?
In the ordinance, in the P3 district, there are two kinds of signs. One is a freestanding sign. That's separate. That's already there.
Correct.
The second type are building slash awning signs. So we take the building at present has one sign. There's one sign, it could have three. The proposal is when we install the canopy, there will be three more signs on the canopy. So
Right, so in other words, in simple, you're asking for basically one extra sign.
Yes.
Because that's not the way it came out, okay?
Okay, one extra sign.
And that's why I think the board member is questioning also that, because he was saying he needs three additional signs, but what you're saying is that we're allowed three, right, we're allowed three. With your proposal, according to here, you'll have to add one, so you're asking for the variance because for one sign, because the free sign does not count.
That's
I
correct.
was
Okay.
including the freestanding.
Right, correct. And that's why I wanted to clarify it, because it just, when you said it the second time around, it said you were asking for three additional, and I'm going, no, you're allowed three, you need one. Basically, you're still gonna have what you're allowed, but you'll get the extra one, that's what you're asking for relief for.
Yes.
Just my question is on this, obviously the canopy is some kind of a requirement, necessity, because keep the element off the pumpers, the cars. the corner is such impact with congestion, putting this type of size canopy, isn't that a little over, which word I want to use, congested in that corner?
Well, I think Brian answered that question, that the canopy won't affect traffic at all. So that's like,
I'm talking about traffic, I'm talking about appearance, the corner itself being structurally
well,
on
the thing about a canopy is that it's not like putting a building up. All it is a flat roof, and you can see through it. So the fact that you can see through it, that minimizes what you might be referring to as the mass. For example, if we put a building in that location, a full building, I think that would provide an imbalance on the site of too much building space. But when you're walking and you're driving, you see right through a canopy, you don't even notice it. So from light and air and visibility, the canopy doesn't have much impact.
Still structural.
Yes, it certainly is a structure, absolutely is.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more. About the sign, I was looking at the A1. What portion of the canopy itself will be lit internally? Just the Gulf logo or the entire, going across the entire white and blue on the
Just the logo.
Just the logo itself?
I think it's round, but...
Yeah, one question. I'm looking at your zoning notes over here on the canopy sign, and I don't know where you got your information from, obviously from our book, but it says on the east side wall, you're allowed 10% of the wall, but not more than 8 square feet.
That's correct.
Actually, our ordinance, which I'm looking at right now, it says that it's 5% of the wall and not to exceed 60 square feet. So actually, I just wanted to let them know actually what it says. The front sign, you're allowed 10%. On the sides, on the east and west side, you're allowed 5% of the wall or 60 square feet, which is ever less. So this note over here, that's I'm a little confused by.
Brian will have to answer the question about the note.
No.
I can show it to you, I have it.
Which, no, on our...
Yes, on your notes, where it says canopy sign, maximum number of signs in the front of the building. We made I'm the deputy code enforcement officer, so I met with one of the council people at that time, Councilman Casais, when he was a council member. We sat down and we changed some of the sign requirements on Long Westfield Avenue. And one of them was that at that particular time, we were only allowed 2 signs, one in the front at 10 feet and one in the side not to exceed 8 square feet. So the problem was, where does the business on Westfield Avenue put the sign, either on the west side or on the east side? So we determined that if it was a freestanding building, which your building is, that you could put a sign up on the east side and the west side, and we increased the size limitations, because we figured at the rate of traffic speed going along Westfield Avenue, 8 square feet wouldn't be very visible to anybody. So it was increased to 5% of the wall or 8 square feet, which is ever less. So I'm looking at your notes, and they're really, from what I can see, they're not correct.
Well, we acknowledge that maximum number of building signs in the front is 1.
Well, that one's fine. You see, right, it said the maximum sign in the front of the building, you have 10 square, wait, south side, now I'm a little confused here. The south side, yes, will be facing, the south side's facing Westfield Avenue.
Yeah, because that portion of the canopy is longer. So that's
Right.
why when we do the calculation, you
So if
get
that's
a larger...
considered the structure itself, it's 10% of the canopy sign.
Okay, so we have to...
So that 8 square foot wouldn't apply, from what I can tell. I mean, maybe everyone could, you know. And then on the east side or west side wall, you're allowed 5% of the wall, or 60 square feet, which is ever less. It's no longer 8 square feet, doesn't apply to that. I just wanted to bring it up to your attention, so.
Well, it's going to be less, it's going to be...
28.5 square feet.
But there, yeah, that's the size of the sign, correct. So if there was 2, that's 57 square feet, the east and the west side. And you just said 60 was permitted, so we actually...
Well, up to 60, which is ever less. 5% of the wall is 60 square feet.
Oh, which is ever less. Well, then 5% would be less because the fascia is only 24 by 3. So that's approximately 72. 5% of 72 is, to get my calculator.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out.
Yeah, 35.
Yeah, well, I'm taking it down 4, so.
So 72 times is 3.6 square feet.
Well, you know, I just wanted to bring that point.
Yeah. So in other words, instead of being the not greater than 8 square feet, 10% of the wall, well, you said it's 5%. So technically would only be permitted is 3.6 square feet on the canopy side. And we're proposing 28.5.
No, what I'm saying is, well, it's 5% of the wall is 60 square feet, which is ever less. So I guess you can go up 5% of the wall.
Well, because it's only the fascia.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
why. That's why I don't come
Well,
down to
either way, you're gonna need a
3.6.
variance for the size of the wall.
Yeah, that's what we.
But I just wanted to make,
Okay.
I just wanted to clear up
Right.
your notes. What
Right, okay, so instead of saying 5%, it should be 5%. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions, board members? Anthony, you had a chance to review this, and some of the comments made by Counselor were that both planner and engineer have covered your request. Any comments?
I guess they've already agreed to pipe those downspouts from the canopy underground, so that's a positive. We heard testimony on this, the additional signs. I know they already have a freestanding sign. Is there any reason why there's an additional 3 as opposed to, why couldn't, like, was there any consideration to meet the number of signs, or do you have to have the, you know, the amount that you're seeking?
Get rid of the building sign, then you have that. Where are those?
It says delta in the front and nothing on the side. I'm not sure, I think they just have stripe.
It's kind of straight across.
Just across, this one right over
Yeah.
here, yeah, it's got the delta in the front and striping's on the side.
There's really no bump out to the
Right.
I'll let me call back Mr. Shortino to address that question from Mr. Kuros.
Yeah, just with respect to the number of signs, we felt that 3 signs are necessary because of the location of the facility. It's located at the intersection of 2 streets, and desirable really to see it from both ways travel on East Westfield Avenue. So that was the reasoning for the 3 signs requested.
I kind of heard some of my board members making a comment. To satisfy just the 3 signs, would there be a thought of removing the sign from the building? I mean, if what you're stating here now is your reasoning to put up the signs on the canopy, and I can understand that, to give it some distance so you can see it coming east or west. You're also going to have the freestanding sign that's going to have the golf on it too. Is there a thought of just removing that one? I think what we're trying to say is that, and Board, please help me here, is that with all this up there, going with the canopy, and so be that, but then throwing up a sign, another sign, it's just going to see so cluttered that, you know, because the freestanding sign is going to have, correct me if I'm wrong, the food mart on it. I mean, so you know it's there, and you want to know that it's gas more than it is for the food mart. I would think.
We wrestle in Roselle Park. If you're a businessman, you want to have a business here, you want to grow. So we wrestle with the signage, and that's been a perpetual, and probably going to continue to be some issues. But in such a small space, you've got a lot of signs. Clutter, and you know what? The guys work very hard at keeping the place neat and clean. I've never been past there that it's been done.
Correct.
It's clean and neat, and they do, but it just looks a little cluttered to me.
The attorney spoke with the client, the applicant at this now, regarding number of signs of the canopy, and they said it was resolved that we'll request to take off the front canopy signs facing Westfield Avenue for the Gulf. So the canopy will now only have 2 signs.
On either end.
On both sides, because this way the approaching traffic can see it. And they'll take off the one on the front, leave the building sign, so the quantity now, there's no request for variance for quantity. 3's permitted and 3 are
Requested, or proposed, or you can have what you have. Just as long as you sit within the guidelines of the ordinance of signage.
So we'll remove the front canopy signs. So in other words, on this elevation here, which says elevation facing West East Avenue, that whole side will come off.
Okay,
So
that's on the longer part, on the 32-foot
right.
section.
So it'll be just on the side, and that's possibly the most desirable. See the approaching traffic.
Thank you. Can I just ask another question related to that? The food court side on Sheridan is also going to have a golf, and then you're going to have a golf on the canopy, so there's a degree of redundancy.
But that's more or less the standard we're looking for. Yeah, that's a company requirement for golf. This is what they like to see for identification of their canopies, and we're just really refacing that freestanding side. So we believe that's reasonable.
But you already have golf.
Because what I think, because golf is saying, if you're going to put this up here, you're going to use our logo and sell out. This is what you have to do.
The point I'm making, not to keep on throwing a wrench in the works here, is if you're having a pole sign that's already pre-existing, non-conforming, and oversized, it's going to have Gulf. Isn't that enough for people to see going on the east-west traffic? I mean, I'm just saying, if you have Gulf in the front of the canopy, which is required, then why do you need it on the sides? When so close to it, you have an oversized sign that's going to have Gulf on both sides. East and west side traffic's going to see it. It's a standalone sign. So that way you would eliminate 2 signs, still have your purpose of having the pole sign sticking out there so people can see it, and then you would have your Gulf in the front. And, you know, people in the apartment houses and everything won't have that light of Gulf right on the side, right by their windows. And you'd have Gulf with the freestanding pole sign that people are going to see. You know, I mean, that's just my suggestion.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of stations, and you know what I do for a living. And, I mean, just from this perspective, this operation is only operating until 10 p.m. It's not like it's all night.
Yeah, you're right. That's right.
It's not really, and every station I've ever seen always has the pole sign, with the logo on it. So,
Is it? I guess some of the comments to we're hearing here. Are there any thoughts now that we've brought some of these things up that might
Impact on
impact on your decision of to keep all these up there? I guess what I'm concerned about, I would rather have the big one in the front, not the side ones, due to the apartments right there in that particular location. That concerns me. I'm not worried about the Sheridan Avenue side because their houses are set back, because you have the road there. But I'm concerned on the other side where the apartments are, because that, as you mentioned before, there is a little roadway that goes through there, or a driveway. So that's not much difference in what we're putting up there. And then the height that we're going to have kind of illuminates it a little bit more in the area that might affect the people in their apartments there. And I'm concerned that, again, these are things here that we also have to look at too that's going to affect. And I can appreciate what we're trying to do to improve the properties. Okay, I understand that. But we also have to look at what it might do to any of the residents when we approve something. So again, if there's anything you can do here,
Mr. Chairman, just on the question, I mean, there is a pole light. I mean, according to the picture I've seen there, it looks like there's a pole light that's right up against with the Sheridan Avenue, that house. I don't know, maybe that, was that exhibit?
Yeah, that is, yes,
Right?
that's the pre-existing sign that's already there.
No, there's a pole, there's a pole, there's a utility, a pole that faces into the lot now, on one of the pictures.
Yes, there is.
It shines towards the gas station.
Yeah.
I guess they should probably get softer by anyway.
It's gonna be the illumination from the lights that's gonna be underneath the canopy is, I'm assuming, what, more?
What is it, 0.5?
0.5, what's the new?
What is it?
Well, illumination under our ordinance says that it can't have more than a 5-foot horizontal projection.
Right.
Okay, and which I don't think this is going to do anything more than that, or less than that, correct? I mean, is that, the way I'm looking at this is going to be less than that, 5.
Well, I'm not much on lumens, to be honest with you, so I really, the projection's gonna be according to this.
Okay.
You know, just for clarification, again, we mentioned it early on, the lighting plan that was prepared by the applicant was submitted and the board engineer's letters found it acceptable, so that I'm assuming that means there's no spillover.
You're right, that's what I'm assuming too, and that's why we have our engineering and our planner also.
And with regard to the signs, I think just to clarify, because we've had a lot of testimony about signs, the panel on the freestanding sign is, right now it's a Delta logo, and it'll be a golf logo. It's not increasing, it's not changing, it's just going to have a different.
Right now it's not conforming anyhow, though, it's oversized.
Understood.
Okay.
And the elimination of one of the 3 proposed signs in the canopy, we selected the Westfield Avenue approach because we thought that would make the most sense. Obviously, we're hearing the feedback that maybe one of the other signs would be better, but we think, eliminating one of the proposed signs and coming into compliance with the number of signs allowed is a significant concession. Again, but we're still, we're open to, we're hearing the feedback. We thought by losing that one sign, coupled with the fact that this is a station, as noted, it's only open until 10 p.m., I'd imagine that most people in the apartments have their TVs on later than 10 p.m. But again, we hear your comments and your feedback, and we understand your concerns. I think, again, we're open to hear more feedback and try to react to it. But we thought losing one of the proposed signs was an improvement.
And again, with that said, and that's good. But what would be the difference, or what particular one sign we didn't have?
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you had the Westfield Avenue corridor, the bigger one, okay, as I look at it here, on the 32-foot section, compared to the eastbound side up facing the apartments. I mean, that was the concern over here, correct? I mean, that I'm hearing?
I think one of the concerns is just an overkill of so much light projection coming from such a little bit of real estate over there. I mean, you know what I mean? You're gonna have the building, well, obviously the building's little, just not a consideration, but coming up the sign, the pole sign, 3 other lineage signs, it just seems like, boom. I mean, we want to help this guy's business and we want to improve it. The idea of the canopy is great. It's just the amount of impact with all of the light in that small area, that with one house over here and an apartment house over there is like, that's what I think are concerns. Overkill. If I'm wrong, I mean, obviously, people pulling out of Park Avenue and make the left onto Westfield Avenue is going to see it because it's right there. There is a traffic light over there where, when it's red, people are going to see it, and that's all I'm saying.
Okay, I'm trying to just trying to help here. I guess I have the difficulty of they're allowed 3.
Yes.
Okay, and if they only have 3 and it's the right size, there's really nothing we can do about it. The only thing I would ask, though, is the applicant reconsider the amount, as you heard testimony already, and I think the concern that we're having here right now is that being such a small lot now, it's going to be so bright at that particular point. Now, again, we want their business to flourish. We're not asking them not to put up something so their business that will not flourish. But if we look at what we have now, okay, the existing site that we have right now, you have the one sign, plus you have the freestanding sign, and you also have the one on the building. Basically, that's it.
Two, correct.
Okay. So if we went to where you only, okay, kept the one on the building, the one freestanding, which is more in footage, we'll call it, or space, because it's oversized, right? And you put the one just along the front, would that help? I mean, so you don't have it on the sides? Is that something you might consider to do? I mean, this could help a tremendous amount to, we're trying to help you here, okay, but we also need something on back, because again, we need to have our residents along that area not interfered, and they're living, their quality of living. I mean, we also have to have that too. We understand what you need, okay? But
Can I understand? Now, all of these signs are illuminated signs, correct?
That's correct. It's currently
All right.
illuminated.
Under section C, it says right here, illuminated signs shall be permitted on the front of the building and shall not exceed 10% of the wall which is attached. The sign shall be lit by internal means and only provided that the illumination shall not produce any significant lighting effect measured at a horizontal distance of 5 feet. So obviously now, what's not on here is that if you're putting it on the side, it's an illuminated sign where it says that it's only really allowed on the front.
So in that scenario right there, my suggestion could be all good. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Where you don't have it on the signs, but you have it on the building, you have it on the freestanding, and you also have it on the front.
Like the one in the front, don't like the ones on the side.
On the sides.
And that would cut down on that.
Right. And again, that would be our ordinance the way we have it.
The pole sign's existing already, which is going to be illuminated, and it's oversized, and it's going to be caught by the east side and west side traffic, you know?
Especially when it's covered in.
Yeah, it's right on the corner, so it's right there.
Excuse me, just one suggestion. I think there might be a practical problem with not having sufficient canopy signs for the reason that people are accustomed to noticing a gas brand. And the price is the most important, but the second important thing is the brand. When drivers cannot see a brand on the canopy, they'll assume it's some lower grade gas. That's why all of the gas companies like to promote the brand, because you don't see the product, all you see is the sign.
And I can understand that.
So-
On your freestanding sign, you'll have the brand.
Right, but the problem is now traffic coming from Westfield Avenue east to west towards the parkway.
Mhm.
Those motorists will, the first chance they'll have to see the site is the canopy. If the canopy does not have an obvious sign, they must think, well, no, I'm not going to stop here because it's not a branded station. They're going fast, and they have to look at both. They'll have to see the freestanding. So it helps in that way.
Well, I don't see that happening. If you're coming from Elizabeth heading towards the Parkway, that freestanding sign is at the curb, just about. It's not in the middle of the properties. It's at the, so again, they're going to see that sign that is oversized before they see the canopy. So again, that theory right there doesn't hit me so good.
Is it the illumination that's the issue, or the number of signs?
I think
It could be, again, it pays to advertise. It's in that small piece of property, you've got a lot of redundancy, whether it be the sign itself, but it's also the illumination. So it's, you know, where do you separate? If you were to eliminate the lighting on the end too, like was proposed, I think the issue could go away because that's solving one of whatever.
Right. I mean, I'm not so sure why that is such a hard thing to, you're willing to go up a sign, okay? And I understand that, and we thank you for that, okay? But now I'm looking at to where, again, would it look stupid? I'll use the word, you know, to where if I don't light up the east side and I light up the west side, does it really help you or anything, you know, like, no. So if you just have the front, the illuminated freestanding sign, which is, again, bigger than what it should be anyhow, so that shows more, that stands, I don't know how many feet, I didn't remember seeing anything, how many feet that stands in, that's got to be at least 20 feet.
20.
Okay, so that's 20 foot up, I mean, and that's higher than the canopy.
No, 18. I'm sorry, 18.
Okay, 18, so that's the same size as basically as what you said before in your testimony, about 18 foot at the top of it or at the bottom of it. So again, I mean, you have that sign right there that stands out more than anything from the properties.
It's closer to the
That's what I'm saying, it's absolutely the closest.
Also, underneath the canopy is all going to be lit anyway. When it's on, all the light projection from the canopy coming down, so it's going to light up the pumps. It's not that it's just going to be standing there like, or it's not going to be noticed.
Right.
So you're going to have sign in the front, you're going to have the lit up canopy illuminating all the pumps, and you're going to have a 48 square foot illuminated sign that's facing both the east side and west side traffic. I mean, you know, I know it's a B3 zone, but it butts up against an R4 residential. And it's, you know, there are residential properties there, and I granted you only have them on until 10 o'clock, well, you know, but still, it's, you know, that's a lot of light illuminating from one area to the immediate properties, maybe, and then, you know, you all have to kind of be like good neighbors, too. But while we want your business, obviously, you know,
Understood. Okay.
I'm not sure how much detriment that will hurt you in your business, as you're going to have a lot more than what you had before.
So our presentation is concluded, our direct presentation. I'll defer to the chairman if you wanted to hear from the public, while we can talk about the signs, and then we could revisit the issue after you hear from any public that's here.
Yes,
that's appropriate.
after we get done with this back and forth, I was going to have the public portion open up the comments from the public.
Thank you. And then I'd like to come forward again and see if we can come to some consensus.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's no other... If there's no other questions for the board, right now I have a motion to open up the public portion for this application.
I make a motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. At this time, the public portion is open for this application. Anyone wishing to speak, please come forward, state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Cecilia Rioja Cancino, and I came with my husband, Gustavo Cancino. We live in 105 Sheridan Avenue. It's just a property, the house next to the gas station. I know that I've been talking about a lot of numbers, a lot of measurements, and I kind of, you know, and also I'm a little nervous. But I want to express our opinion about this. It's the expansion of this service station or gas station. On the letter that we got, excuse me, it says 24 feet by 32, 4 feet canopy over the gasoline dispensers. And we kind of like feeling unhappy about that and objection, because it's kind of like we don't feel safe not to be able to see actually the Westfield Avenue. We've been living in that house for 20 years. And we're so happy about the neighborhood, we're so happy about everything around. But it's like a kind of not feeling good about that, just open our windows and the first thing that we see is the big canopy in front of us, which all these years we've been having a beautiful view. And we don't kind of, like I said, happy about that. And we just actually took some pictures also about that, to show it how the way that we see it right now, and it will be covered. It will cover one of my beautiful windows that I have, that I always like to decorate because it shows by the Westfield Avenue. And I guess that's it. And actually, thank you for letting us to present and give us our opinion too.
No, you have the right. You have the right to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You have the pictures to share with me?
I'm sorry?
You have the pictures that you mentioned there?
Yeah, the pictures that we took, let me show you.
Do you want it, and we'll pass it around?
Not visible. It's just a public meeting, show us, it's not testimony. Stating an opinion we would.
We'll give this. We'll give it back to you once we'll just look at it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak, please come forward. State your name and address.
Jacob McGarrett, 612 Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. The question to the gentleman on my right, is this going to be a golf station? Well, a stop and go?
Not sure what you mean by stop and go.
That's the name presently.
No.
That's
No, it's the name of the. Jake, it's the stop and go is the food mart. The gas is Delta, but it is going to become a Gulf. Yes. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's confusing.
Right, because we all know it as a Delta, and they're using the Golf logo, but it's going to become a Golf. The Stop and Shop is the food mart itself where you purchase goodies. Okay, that's the difference, but it's not called Stop and Shop. It's called the Delta gas station is what it is. And it's going to become Golf, is what they're going to do on that.
Okay. Now, what, to the gentleman again, what is the name of the street that this is going to be on?
What's the name of the street that the station is located on? At the intersection of Sheridan Avenue and East Westfield Avenue.
Okay. I thought I heard Sheraton Avenue.
Maybe that's pronounced incorrectly, I'm not sure. Sheridan Avenue.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Seeing
Seeing none.
none, make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, your turn again.
Thank you. And thank you again for your feedback. We do appreciate it. And, again, the application process, both with your engineer and with the board members' comments, is really to refine the project. And we do appreciate it. And taking in those, your feedback into consideration. Your board engineer's letter was very helpful. That drainage improvement, we think, is substantial. Regarding the signage, I've had an opportunity to speak to the client, and they understand the concerns about the illumination and number of signs. So they would be willing to eliminate the illuminated signs on the sides, as was, I think, suggested, and keep the sign on the East Westfield Avenue approach. If that would resolve some of the concerns.
Is he keeping the signs on each side to illuminate those that?
Correct. The signs would be on the sides, but they wouldn't be illuminated. So in the daytime, they would get the exposure and it wouldn't have any negative impacts.
You're going to have so much coming down from the projection of the overhang anyway. Just for the record, I'm going to mark these, since they were considered by the
Sure.
board, I'm going to mark these P1 and P2, so that's part of the record.
Thank you.
Do we have to get you any copies of this of any sort?
I'll defer to you. Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Anthony, is there anything? No. Everything's all squared away. Well, at this time, we make a motion to either accept or reject the application. If there is any special notes that has to go into the resolution, or we'll write them down. Council, write them down to make sure it's in the resolution of anything. In the resolution, all permits will be, any state requirements, any ordinances, and all that have to be strictly enforced and followed. That's just going to be a standard in the resolution. So, without any further ado,
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the application with the conditions that are placed on the signs, the sign illuminations, I guess, of the canopy.
okay, so
Two sides of the
we
canopy,
want
not
we want to mention, right, we want to mention that in the resolution that no illumination would be on the east or west side of the signs,
And only to the
But
front.
only on the front.
and only on the front. We'll kind of make it both ways so everybody understands.
Got it.
Okay, okay.
They've already addressed all Nathan's concerns. So that-
Right, that's right. So they've already addressed that in the, as Anthony testified already. So the only stipulation would be no illumination on either side of the signs. But with that the signs that are on the canopy will be to the ordinance, town ordinance, as required, correct? We just went over to the 5% or whatever it was?
5%.
Or,
5% of 60.
We needed the variance either way according to the code.
oh, okay. I just want to make sure, because I was going to...
It was a lot of numbers, I agree,
Yeah,
but as proposed, the size hasn't changed. Correctly, Mr. Pupino noted that we had the wrong percentage, and we
Okay, so we acknowledge that, and we have that straightened out. Are there any other restrictions or conditions that we have other than the two sides and the front?
I second the motion.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Mr. Cucino?
Yes.
Mr. Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Delacqua?
Yes.
Mr. Nitchie?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Robina?
Yes.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
It's a 45 days,
Yes.
okay, for the resolution to come through, so it's 45 days from the resolution.
From the publication of the
Publication, just want to remind you that it's there, just so you have that. Just one other thing to the, excuse me, I just want to the residents of that, and we appreciate you coming tonight, we appreciate your input to it. We tried to make it a little bit less in the lighting of it type thing. With your pictures, I see what you're talking about. But at one point, we have to try to help our businesses grow, and sometimes it affects us in certain ways. I'm hoping that when this goes up, it won't affect that one window that you see under Westfield Avenue as I see. I'm hoping that it doesn't, because I'm hoping that you're a lot higher, okay, than what that is, and you'll be looking over it. Yeah, so I'm hoping that does. But I thank you again for coming tonight, and I'm sorry that we couldn't do something better, but we at least cut it down a little bit for you on the light. Right, so at least we helped you in that, but we thank you again. Okay. If there's, okay. Yes, I'm going. I'm getting here. Okay, I'm getting here. Okay, I just want to be, at this time right here, we want to memorialize 2 resolutions from last meeting. 113 Camden Street, 2014-015. Do I have a motion to, pardon? So,
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
that's 113 Camden Street.
I'll second that.
Frankie Glenn, yes. Madam Clerk?
Thank you.
Mr. Pacino?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Vecchio?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens is not here.
Only the ones that are affirmative from last time, okay?
Yeah, well, he was there.
That's right. He's not here, he's not here.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
And Mr. Rabina?
Yes.
And Mr. Bailon?
Yes.
Motion carries. I'd like to have a motion to memorialize 541 Oakwood Avenue. That's 2014-016.
Second.
And Jack. Oh, Glenn. No, I'm sorry. Well, he does this.
Mr. Pacino?
You have to vote. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Vecchio?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
And Mr. Rabina?
Yes.
Motion carries.
This year?
We have, pending resolutions, we have none, no major subdivided site plans, proposed changes to permit use, bulk variances. Payment of bills, we have none. Any comments for the benefit of the board? If not, just a reminder that next meeting is Wednesday, February 25th. Okay, sir? Okay, sir? Can I go? If there's nothing else, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion.